cross this threshold, only then this neuron fires, and the output is then passed on through the synapse to the next neuron, and so on. Let us look at what the output of this neuron will be like. The output will be simple, as in x1, w1, the input into its weight, the input x2 into its weight, the input x3 into its weight, and so on for all the n inputs that are there. So basically the output of the neuron is the weighted sum of all its inputs. Again, what are the types of activation functions that we have? The types of activation functions will basically depend upon the problem at hand and the model that we have chosen to solve that problem. The activation functions, very popular, can be the sigmoid function, tanh function, and so on. Let me talk a little about what is a perceptron. Now, basically, perceptron is a mathematical model of a biological neuron. Whatever we have studied till now will come under a perceptron. What is the difference between the biological neuron and a perceptron? While in actual neurons, in the biological neurons, the dendrites, they receive electrical signals from the axons of other neurons. In a perceptron, on the other hand, these electrical signals are represented as numerical values and may be fed in by the user. At the synapse between the dendrite and the axon in a biological neuron, the electrical signals are modulated in various amounts. This is also modeled in the perceptron by multiplying each input value by a weight. This is how we manipulate the inputs. In a biological neuron, the output signal is fired only when the total strength of the input signals exceed a certain threshold. Now, this is also modeled in our perceptron by calculating the weighted sum of the inputs to represent the total strength of the input signals and applying a step function on the sum to determine the output. This is what the step function will look like. It is almost working as the cutoff or the threshold, fine, to determine whether the output will be fired or not. And as in biological neural networks, this output is then fed in to the other perceptrons in the model, thereby making a network out of it. A perceptron basically calculates the weighted sum of the input values. Now, let us for simplicity assume that there are two input values x and y for a certain perceptron P. Fine. So there are two inputs x and y. Let the weight for x and y be a and b respectively. The weighted sum could then be represented as ax plus by. Now this is nothing but what we have already done, that the output of the perceptron or the output of the artificial neuron is going to be nothing but the weighted sum of its inputs. Since the perceptron outputs a non-zero value only when this weighted sum is going to exceed the certain threshold C, one can write down the output as of the perceptron as the output of a perceptron P is equal to 1 if ax plus by is greater than C, and if ax plus by is less than or equal to C, then the output is going to be 0. This is what a perceptron model is. Let us see how we can use this perceptron as a classifier. Now recall that ax plus by is greater than C and ax plus by is less than C. These are the two regions on the xy plane. Now whether ax plus by is greater than C or whether this ax plus by is less than C, these two are nothing but these are regions on the xy plane which is separated by a line defined as ax plus by plus C is equal to 0, where C is the threshold. If we consider the input x and y as a point on the plane, then the perceptron will actually tell us which region on the plane are we talking about, to which this point belongs. Fine. Such regions, since they are separated by single lines, are called linearly separable regions. So, which brings us to an important point, that is, if we are trying to use perceptron as a classifier, the basic artificial neural network, which is a perceptron, if we are trying to use this perceptron as a classifier in our model, there is a limitation to it, and that limitation is that perceptron can be used as a classifier only when the two classes are linearly separable. When the two classes are not linearly separable, that is, the data points are located in the plane such that there is no linear line, single straight line that can separate the data points into two classes. In such cases, the perceptron model is not going to be efficient. As mentioned, the activation functions usually are going to be the sigmoid function, either a logistic or a tangent or the hyperbolic tangent function. Now, what is a feed-forward network? Let us have a look at it to be able to understand what is back propagation, what is a feedback network. We will have to understand what is a feed-forward network. We talked till now about a biological neuron, we talked about an artificial neuron, and we talked about a perceptron. Now, a couple of these perceptron, when arranged in a certain fashion, will give rise to a feed-forward artificial neural network. And this is what a feed-forward artificial neural network looks like, where each of these nodes is nothing but an artificial neuron or a perceptron. And this is, mind you, the simplest architecture and consists of organizing the neurons in layers and connecting all these neurons in one layer to the neurons in the other layer, so that the output of one layer is input to the other layer. The output of this input layer is the input to the hidden layer. The output of the hidden layer is then the input to the output layer. So this is how the perceptrons are arranged so as to form a feed-forward artificial neural network. As we can see here, there is a single input layer with two inputs, X and Y, or 1 and 2. Then there are two hidden layers inside. And then there is one output layer having two output features, or two output classes, or two output categories. Again, output 1 and output 2. These neurons are so arranged such that the output of the first layer is the input to the second layer, and so on. The first layer will receive the input from the environment, then it will pass it on to the hidden layer and to the output layer. This output layer will then serve as the terminal points from where we are going to extract our classification or the prediction output. Thank you. This is all that we will have for this class. For the next lecture, stay tuned.